this episode, we travel to Ybor City, take a tour of the Tampa Bay Rum Company, talk to Sam about how he creates his Gasparilla Rum. For me, this was quite the educational experience, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm here with Sam Meyers at Gasparilla Rum at his tasting room. This is definitely, as you guys know me, my style. I might have Sam come out and decorate for us, but until then, Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Sam, this is your creation then, right? This whole bar and everything?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the whole concept is, so we're actually, just to elaborate, I have several names.
Okay.
So this is actually the Tampa Bay Rum Company.
Right.
One of our brands is Gasparilla Rum.
Okay.
That would be all the rums before you right there. But we use the Tampa Bay rum for the barrel aged stuff.
Right. Yes, so, I was going to ask you about that.
So, coconut rum drinker may not want a barrel aged rum, so we have different names, and then the Blunderbuss vodka.
Right. So if you're sitting at the beach, you ask for Gasparilla. If you're sitting at a nice cigar place, you ask for Tampa Bay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
You're more likely to find one than the other.
Right. Yeah. I get it.
So and we're acknowledging now that we are in a major situation, hotspot in Florida,
right,
yeah. With all the COVID, and we're keeping our distance right now, and we'll mask up if we get close for a drink.
Yes, absolutely. So Sam, tell us about your distillery. You know, how you got started, and what really got you into the rum side of things, sir.
Well, let's see. I'm gonna back it up. Let's back it way up to 2010.
Ooh, all right.
Mm-hmm. So 2010. I'm in my chiropractic clinic. I'm a chiropractor by trade. I had just opened up in St. Pete in 2008. 2010, I'll never forget, I was in my office. One of my closest friends from high school gives me a call, and I happen to be by my phone picked up. My buddy Brett Carlisle, he says, Sam, I quit my job, and me and a buddy are opening up a whiskey distillery.
Awesome.
Now in 2010, that was really unheard of.
Yeah.
Breweries, microbreweries were up and coming, but nobody had gotten really to the distillation level.
Right.
So I said, man, that's freaking cool. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's a huge leap. And what they did was they hired a guy that was a master distiller.
Okay.
A guy named Dave Pickerel, who's actually recently passed away, but helped start up a lot of whiskey distilleries.
Okay.
And they were one of the first. Taught them what to do, how to get everything set up, and then they began producing a very, very nice whiskey, bourbon whiskey and a rye whiskey in the town of Woodinville, which is right next to the town where we grew up.
Okay.
2015 rolls around, I go visit, and I decided that if I didn't try this myself,
yeah,
I would kick myself the rest of my life. And so I figured this would be a fun side project, side investment, while I still work full-time as a chiropractor in St. Pete. So I thought rum would be the best option.
Yeah.
We're in Tampa, we got the beaches, rum, drinks, pirate crazy, it made more sense for our area.
Yeah.
So I started Googling Gasparilla Rum, and to my shock, nobody had made a Gasparilla Rum.
Yeah.
So 111 years after the first Gasparilla Pirate Parade, I trademarked Gasparilla Spice Rum. So
wow.
Yeah, so
it was been waiting for you to happen, right?
Exactly. There's an old Simpsons line that got stuck in my head when I figured that out. Homer Simpson says, "Everybody in the world is stupid except me."
That's great. That's awesome.
Now, subsequently, after all the mistakes I've made since then, I realize I'm just as stupid as everybody else. So, yeah.
There's a little bit of luck to everything, right?
Or just, grabbing the bull by the horns, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that was kind of the thing. I did also feel very lucky that having grown up on the West Coast, I felt like I had a crystal ball. Like I could read the future of what was going to happen in Florida.
Yeah.
In the past 10 years, breweries, craft breweries, have blown up in the Tampa area.
Yeah.
Well, that happened in Seattle in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Okay, so Washington State, Oregon, California, and Colorado are literally 10 years ahead of Florida in craft alcohol trend.
Right, okay.
And so I saw out there the craft breweries blow up, then the craft wineries, and then the craft distilleries, and nobody had done the distilleries here, and the craft breweries were just starting, so I said, let me get a distillery open before anybody else, before it floods the market. I'd rather be the first rum distillery in Tampa than the 50th brewery.
Right, yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. And so we actually utilize, for all of our aged product, the used whiskey barrels.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
nice.
So I buy my barrels from Woodinville Whiskey.
Okay. Oh,
and
nice.
so our barrel aged product, well, there's another whiskey distiller that we also, we end up with their barrels as well. So they're all sourced from Woodinville Whiskey.
Okay.
But they're all used whiskey barrels. So all of our barrel aged products right now are going to taste like whiskey because, I mean, that was the first use on the barrel.
Nice.
And so for your whiskey fans, you're going to want the Tampa Bay rum.
Tampa Bay rum, okay.
For your, just Captain and Coke kind of drinkers, you're going to want our spiced rum.
Okay.
We have the coconut rum, the key lime pie. We got a bunch of different flavors.
Excellent.
So,
yeah, so the flavors here, and I'm pretty sure you can see them. Like you said, he's got the silver, the spiced,
now that's a pumpkin we've got out, but that should be a seasonal one. We do seasonal flavors as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do a pumpkin spice and the apple spice in the fall.
Okay.
And the butterscotch that you want to try is in the winter.
Yeah, so if you guys want to find my wife and I, we're probably going to be in a tent outside here this winter waiting for the butterscotch because that is blowing my mind right now.
And I wish that sales were so huge here that you had to camp out. Like, you could probably get a bottle.
Hey, if I can get that bottle, can you just write a number 1 on it?
There you go. Yeah, I'll write whatever the hell you want on it as long as you buy it.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, and so I said the key lime and the coconut, and then you've got the blunderbuss here. Tell us about the vodka. How you jumped into you got an excess of vodka or.
So blunderbuss is a cane vodka. So vodka is about the process.
Okay.
It's not about the ingredients.
Okay. Okay.
So we make a sugarcane based vodka. Right, we make everything out of a molasses.
Nice. Okay.
Which is a byproduct of sugarcane production. Okay, so our vodka is actually the one thing that we don't make from scratch. So I make all of my rums from scratch. I drive down to South Florida and pick up the molasses, we ferment it, everything is just so homemade here. So, but during the beginning of this COVID crisis, we had a run on hand sanitizer, which distilleries stepped up and started making, and we still make, but I couldn't produce enough in-house, so I bought some mass-produced stuff. Oh my God, mass-produced stuff.
No. You know what?
Hang on.
It was for a good cause.
I'm trying not to bullshit anybody.
Yeah,
so we bought all this stuff to help us make enough inventory of the hand sanitizer. Well, just like you couldn't find toilet paper for a few weeks, and now you can find it everywhere, it's the same thing with hand sanitizer.
Right.
So I'm stuck with all of this, thousands of gallons of this high proof rum.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't want to just put my rum on it, make it into my rum. So what we did was we took that rum and we redistilled it.
Oh, very cool.
And we distilled it up to a level of vodka and purified it.
Okay.
And so it's a crystal clear vodka.
Nice.
So the vodka was not initially made here. We just took a rum and redistilled it into a vodka.
Okay.
And it's a really nice, smooth vodka.
That is awesome.
So
that is great. Yeah, I mean it's commendable to you. You saw that there was an issue out there. You went out and And again, in the medical field, he's like myself, taking this whole thing serious, and he had the ability to make things better. I thank you for that, sir. I mean, there was a need out there, and you went and filled it. I appreciate that. Now, you filled it too far, but
I know.
You did your job too well.
I'd rather have some of that profit than all the inventory right now, because things are pretty slim out in. We can't do as much tours. We've got to be real careful, small groups. So right now it's tough times.
Yeah, so let me ask you that. You can still do tours, so tours are still on, but you have to have them smaller groups like.
Well, we can still do tours.
Okay.
We don't do more than 10 people in here because it's a small area.
Okay.
And so people have to call or email us or message us on Facebook or Instagram and set up an appointment time.
Okay.
And then we do a full hour. We let people taste. Yes, we do want you in masks when you're not sipping the rum.
Yeah.
The reason we can stay open, whereas bars are shut down,
Right.
is because we don't have an official license as a bar.
Right.
Our license is equivalent to that of a liquor store.
Okay.
So you can come in and taste things and buy bottles to go,
Okay.
but we can't sell you cocktails.
Okay.
Which is, if it weren't, like, when it's not COVID crisis, it really sucks, because it would be nice to be able to sell cocktails. Because
you got a nice bar here.
And it's hard to get out into distribution. So
Yeah.
it really limits the craft distiller in Florida from being able to generate enough revenue to thrive.
Yeah, so if you guys are looking for something to do, come out and see Sam.
Come and see me, man, and get some bottles.
Now that he is 100% behind safety, and then he's medical background, so he's going to keep you safe. And at the same time, you come out here and see how it's done and try a couple, flavors. But at the same time, we're also going stir crazy, and that's why I started this channel, because we're all going stir crazy, looking for something to do, get out of the house, that kind of thing. And so here you go, everybody. Come out here and see Sam, and try some rum. Are they all whiskey barrels, you said?
They were all first use whiskey.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so if you see through there, those are all 15-gallon barrels. Okay. So this Gasparilla Reserve, the first use on those barrels was rye whiskey.
Okay.
Now, rye whiskey is very spicy as compared to a bourbon or something like that. Second use, after they empty the rye, my buddy back in Seattle, or Woodinville whiskey, they fill it with maple syrup.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then they age the maple syrup in the whiskey barrel. And then they dump that maple syrup and they sell it for like old fashions or whatever. It's freaking fabulous.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
It is. And so when he's done with those, then I buy all of the barrels.
Okay.
All the small barrel, 15-gallon barrels, and I put my rum in it.
Okay.
So my rum is a mixture of whiskey and maple syrup, aged in small barrel.
Oh, man.
And so this Gasparilla Reserve won American Distilling Institute's 2020 Best in Class and Category Best Rum in America.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And that is the last bottle I have on site.
Really?
So what happened was, when you start a whiskey distillery, you need to make some money right away, right? You can't wait 5 years for your large 53-gallon barrels to age.
Right.
So typically when you see whiskey distilleries, they start out by selling vodkas, gins, things that don't have to age, but they also small barrel stuff. So the smaller the barrel, the faster a product ages.
Okay.
You have more surface area to volume.
Okay.
So it's touching the edge more.
Okay.
Heat actually also speeds up aging.
Okay.
So aging in a warm climate versus up in Seattle helps the aging process as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Helps everything interact.
All right. That's interesting.
Yeah. So if you're a whiskey distillery, you first want to put out something. So you'll put out White Dog unaged whiskey. You'll put out vodka. You'll put out gin, maybe a rum, an aged rum, or something like that. And then you also start aging small barrels.
Okay.
So Brett was aging small barrels while they're aging large barrels.
Okay.
And all of their large barrel has come into being aged, right? So then they phase out the utilization of small barrels when the large barrel stops.
So
what
you
said
said
large. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to in my head process this. So you're saying it's the surface area, so the more surface area of the wood that it's touching, that's what helps age it and give it the flavor, then, right? So
Yes.
Oh, all right. So okay,
It's the interaction with the charred interior of the barrel.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
That's what smooths it out.
Okay.
And makes it gives it a nice flavor. But the problem is because people are searching more and more to get a product out faster and faster.
Right.
They'll do these small barrels and they'll put like charred staves and charred, this and that. And there's all these tricks, and we get approached all the time. But there is a point where it really is. It adversely affects the flavor. It tastes real woody.
Yeah.
So the larger the barrel, you're generally going to have a smoother product.
Okay.
But small barrel is fine as well. Like I said, a 15-gallon barrel with first use rye and first use maple syrup was the best rum in America in the ADI. So there's nothing wrong with small barrel, but typically as a whiskey distillery phases in the larger barrels, they phase out the smaller barrels.
That makes sense.
And so what happened was they phased in these larger barrels, they phased out the small barrels, and in doing so, maple syrup is too viscous, too thick to age in a large barrel.
Oh, you're gonna lose so much.
Well, you just won't get any flavor.
Right.
You won't soak in the flavor.
Okay.
And so when they ran out of their own small barrels because they phased them out, there was a lag before they found another whiskey producer that they could buy used whiskey barrels of.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So that's why I did this batch and got about 450 bottles, and now I'm sitting waiting for stuff to age because I had a supply chain issue.
Oh, man.
But this fall or winter, we'll have this product out again, and then we'll have it constantly.
And then start rolling it out.
Uh-huh.
Man, those are pretty interesting. I did not know that it had. I thought it was just purely like you said it, and I knew the barrel had the flavor, a little bit of the flavor to it, but I thought it was just purely like you're just letting that thing sit there and just age itself. But yeah,
you are.
But it's actually but it's the flavor actually surface space of the actual barrel.
It's interaction with the charred oak on the interior.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and so that interaction is what takes a White Dog whiskey, which is like a moonshine, is not a very nice flavor.
No.
And it smooths it out and it darkens it, gives it a brown flavor because a White Dog whiskey is clear.
Right.
When things are distilled, they come out clear every time. So when you have a whiskey, if it's unaged, it's not a pleasant thing. And so the aging process in the barrels really is what gives it the flavor.
Okay.
Okay, and the smaller the barrel, the faster it ages.
Yeah. And that's why, like, even your flavored rums, you start with the silver and then go from there, right? I mean.
And the flavored rums, remember, we want a more neutral flavor.
Right.
So we distill it to a higher percentage off the still.
Right.
Because we don't have the luxury of a lot of aging.
Yes.
For the silver rum, right?
Right.
So we distill it to a higher level, it comes out more neutral, and then the spiced, the coconut, the scurvy lime, which is the key lime pie, and the seasonals are simply flavors, all natural flavors that we use. And obviously, if you've ever had a coconut rum or something like that, there is a little sugar added. We add far less than the mass-produced stuff.
I was just about to ask you that because I know my wife and I and a couple of our friends are all keto people, and with my history, I shy away from sugar anyway. So, yeah, this is another I guess added bonus for the Gasparilla Rum, and how Sam does business here is he skims out the sugar, so it's not the candy rush that you can get, right? I mean, there is
some sweetness. If you're keto, it would be you would want silver rum or blunderbuss vodka.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We put way less sugar in. So when I started this process, we were fiddling with flavors and stuff like that, and we wanted to accommodate the American palate, but help change the American palate a little bit.
Yeah.
Because most of our products have way too much sugar or way too much salt in it.
This is true.
And people are under the false impression that because rum is made from sugarcane, that it is in and of itself a sweet product.
Right.
When it comes off the still, there's no sweetness.
Right.
It is a dry product, just like everything else. All the rums you have that are sweet because they put a ton of sugar in.
Right.
And so we put about a quarter the sugar content in our rums than your mass-produced stuff. So
Excellent.
It's a little bit sweet, so that you don't get that, but it's not that sticky, gooey rum sweetness that most people are
It's
used
like
to.
syrup, like a cough syrup kind of.
Because there's so much sugar in it. And
Yeah.
when people come in here, they go, I don't like coconut rum. I say, try my coconut rum first. Because ours are all natural flavors.
Oh, there it is.
Okay? And it's very little sugar as compared to.
See, and that's where I'm at. You know, we started this channel, and this was my whole thing, is to come to the craft distiller, the smaller shops, because I want something unique, and that's kind of where I'm trying to start to do this thing and let everybody know, hey, there's some unique stuff out there. You don't have to go to the liquor store and get the mass-produced stuff. But yeah, I guess if you don't mind, do you mind if I try some of these, or?
No problem, let's do it.
All right. This looks. This is really. I like the bottle. Is it a blown bottle, or is that a craft bottle type thing?
This bottle is a unique bottle, but it is a difficult bottle. I didn't realize this when I first ordered it from this group, but it's not a very highly utilized bottle style, and therefore it's not necessarily available to me that often.
Okay.
So sometimes I have a supply chain issue with my bottles. And so you'll see here the coconut has this other bottle style, and that's because we ran out of coconut. We didn't run out of the rum, we ran out of bottles to put it in.
Oh yeah.
And so we had to purchase these just to get our product into a bottle. But normally the coconut would be like this too.
Okay.
So we're going to start with let's just do we'll take the pumpkin out of the mix, because I mean it is very good, but that we can do that. Then you can come back for seasonals.
Okay.
All right. So the silver rum here is just the white rum. Okay, so this is our rum as it comes off the still. We throw it in a large bourbon barrel.
Okay.
Only for a few months,
Okay.
maybe 2-3 months. Okay. And it comes out of there. That's a once-used bourbon barrel, 53 gallon, and we charcoal filter it because it comes out like a light yellow.
All right.
And we charcoal filter it, and once it's been charcoal filtered, that removes the color mostly. It does have slight yellow hue, but also it really smooths out that kind of harsh unaged flavor.
Okay.
Whenever you drink a vodka, if you ever drink it on its own, it has that kind of like sharp edge to it.
Right.
That the aging and charcoal filtering process kind of reduces that and gives it a smoother finish. So now remember too, you're not usually going to be sipping silver rum neat and warm.
Mixing it with Coke.
Yeah, it's like a mojito or a mixed drink.
It's got an interesting smell to it too.
Interesting in a good way.
Yeah, sorry. That is really nice. That is really nice. I mean,
for a silver rum, it's
for
craft
silver rum,
produced.
that's pretty.
All right, so
I like that. So, yeah, I don't know what that. There's a flavor there, and I can't pick it up, but there's a flavor that's it's very pleasant. I don't know how else to say it. So
it's a craft rum flavor.
yes,
It's not that tasteless, nasty.
Right.
Bacardi.
It's got flavor. Let's just stop there.
Exactly.
It's got flavor.
Exactly.
Right? There's a flavor there. Done.
All right, now we're on the spice rum.
Okay.
Okay, so the spice rum is what we want to do with that. The nose on it's a little bit of allspice.
Ooh, yeah.
It's got a real nice nose, but it's vanilla, allspice, tiny bit of clove, egg,
That's what I smell, the clove.
Yeah, okay. So this has very little sugar as opposed to your mass-produced competitors like Sailor Jerry and Captain Morgan and all that nonsense. Captain Morgan is just a vanilla flavor. It's an artificial vanilla flavor, okay? So when they say spiced, essentially what you're doing is you're making a vanilla rum. I'm sorry, vanilla Coke when you make a Captain and Coke. This really opens up in a Coke. It has a lot more flavor. There's a lot more to it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So as we go up the line, there's a little more sugar in each of them. Okay. So the coconut has a little more sugar than this, and then when you do a citrus flavor, unfortunately you need to add a little more sugar because you can have a bitter aftertaste if you don't. So this is an interesting one. We experimented. This is actually 18-month bourbon barrel aged rum that so instead of just a couple months, we used a bourbon barrel rum that we had for 18 months aging, and then put our coconut in it. Really? So our coconut flavoring is a creamy vanilla coconut in a bourbon barrel aged rum. So this is a little bit different. But it seems to be getting some decent reviews.
Oh man, that is really nice. That is a really great smell to it. Man, all I can think about is like suntan lotion and beaches right now. That is super good. That is really. I can tell, because we talk about sugar so much. I can tell that there's definitely more sugar in that
than the spiced. Yeah, that's why we go up.
But yeah, that is. I can tell like in a coconut mojito or something like that. That is going to be amazing.
My favorite with that is a rum punch.
Yeah.
So a little bit of pineapple, a little bit of orange, and then passion fruit. Passion fruit,
really?
Pineapple, a little bit of orange, and it's ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So this one is my Scurvy Lime. Okay. So the Scurvy Lime rum actually is the concept for me was I wanted to use the name, and then I needed to develop a flavor for the name.
Okay.
So scurvy is a vitamin C deficiency.
Yes.
And pirates were afflicted with this back in the old days because they didn't have access to vitamin C on the ship, and they didn't. Makes your teeth fall out. It's a nasty, thing. And so the British Navy somehow figured out that if they put limes on the ship and make their guys eat it, that they wouldn't be afflicted with scurvy.
Oh, that makes sense.
So the British Navy's nickname, the sailors called limeys. And so so I thought that would be a funny name because scurvy also has another usage as a derogatory term, like you scurvy dog. Right? So very piratey.
Right.
So I wanted to make a Scurvy Lime rum.
Nice.
So I had the name, but now the key was to try and develop a flavor. Now, if you smell it, it's graham cracker.
Yeah.
So the problem is citrus in a spirit can be very overwhelming. And I don't like a strong citrusy flavor. So we decided to go with a key lime pie flavor. So it's a creamy kind of key lime flavor with a graham cracker pie crust aroma. That's like a nice shooter. You don't even need to mix that.
No, that is a...
But you can do mojitos with that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mojitos with that. Yeah, that's another one.
Or just with a club soda or like a Sprite or something like that.
Okay.
So I probably should have started you with the blunderbuss because you've gone through all this sweet stuff, but this way is going to clean your palate a little bit.
Okay.
So you're going to get that sharp kind of vodka thing going here, and that'll clean your palate from the sweet stuff before you try the barrel aged stuff.
And I have to say, everyone, that after you try these and you buy your goodies here from Sam, right next door is Columbia, so walk over there and then you can drive home.
And those guys at the Columbia are awesome neighbors, and unfortunately, due to COVID thing, their business is down a lot, so go ahead and support them. And they, you know, whenever things, I don't know when, get back to somewhat normal,
Right.
They're going to be bringing our rums on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right now, I mean, everybody's business is down 50%.
Right.
You don't want to bring on a bunch of other brand.
And I know we're here to talk to Sam, but I gotta let you know me and my meatloaf. They have a meatloaf Cuban over there that is
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it is amazing.
A meatloaf Cuban.
Yep. It is awesome. So,
Okay, cool.
So all right. So vodka. Yeah, there's not much there.
Yeah, that's what you want with vodka. Just a very neutral.
Yeah, that's smooth. That's really smooth though. I mean.
So yeah, here's the deal with vodka. More vodka is sold in America than all other spirits combined.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and it's because most people are not connoisseurs. Most people want to drink a mixed drink. They don't want to taste the big alcohol flavor. They want the nice little buzz that is associated with it.
Yeah.
They don't care about, you know, the flavors and age and this and that. And so with the vodka, you just want a nice neutral spirit. And we found that redistilling that mass-produced rum created a more diverse portfolio for people, different people that like different stuff. And that's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
And so the big thing is we do have a cane vodka blunderbuss. We're not going to put a bunch of flavors in it. It's just going to be straight up vodka.
Okay.
The flavored rums are the Gasparilla. The barrel-aged stuff is Tampa Bay rum. We're not going to make any Gasparilla whiskeys or Gasparilla gins or Gasparilla brandies. If we want to fiddle around with that stuff, we might in the future. But what I don't think is a successful formula is creating all the spirits.
Right.
Like Jack of all trades, master of none, right?
Yep.
So we are like a rum distillery. We'll make a cane vodka, but that's it. And so Gasparilla is a rum, man. It's not a vodka. It's not a whiskey.
Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
And it's a very good, very, very good rum so far. I mean, I have to tell you, these. I'm pleasantly surprised. You and I talked on the phone, and the whole, you know, lack of sugar. What's it gonna taste like?
Yeah.
That tastes really, really good.
Okay, now. This is the Tampa Bay Barrel Aged Rum. This is the Gasparilla Reserve.
Okay.
This is the first, our first batch. This is the last bottle on site. I have a few bottles at home.
Okay.
That we need to hang on to so we can, when this stuff ages, we have to, for quality control, make sure we can compare it and have it. But you can smell the rye on that.
That's very
you smell the rye?
Yeah.
And so remember, rye is spicy, and then it has a little bit of sweetness. Mm-hmm. And so this is a good sipping rum. So these are your fun rums. These are your, you know, drinking at the beach, Gasparilla and Coke. And this is your cigar and snifter kind of like.
Let's go Cuba Libre, right? Let's go Cuba Libre on keto.
There you go. Yeah.
That is really. Ooh, that is a sipping rum. That is.
Yeah, so that's your rum for your more like, you know, your cigar and snifter guy or a whiskey drinker.
Oh, that's nice. That is nice and. Yeah, it does have that rye that more, I guess, whiskey lean to it than yeah, and you can. It's weird. I feel like I can like taste a barrel or taste a a whiskey-ish like barrel. You know, like you stick your head in a whiskey barrel and you take a whiff. Mm-hmm. I get that. I can totally get that.
Well, that's also 92 proof.
Okay.
So you've been drinking 80 proof, and that's at 92.
Okay.
So that's going to be a much stronger. You're going to get a fuller flavor.
Okay.
So we are aging in unused barrels as well. Mm-hmm. So that the rum is going to develop entirely its own profile.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're going to have a dark rum.
Okay.
That's going to be bourbon barrel aged.
Okay.
It's going to have more of a vanilla hint to it, nice. And that'll be probably the next one that's going to come out with the Gasparilla Reserve. on that Tampa Bay line. And then eventually the just a straight up barrel aged rum. And that's going to be real dry. So like I said, people expect rums to be sweet.
Right.
But that's just because rum distillers drop a ton of sugar into them. So our Tampa Bay rums are not sweet. They're not sweet.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me try this, and I really appreciate it. I definitely want to say that you guys have to come out here. I'm absolutely surprised with your ambiance that you have going on here. This is I will be back for sure.
This originally was a gas station in historic Ybor. We're in historic Ybor. That's why there's an overhang up front.
Yep.
And then they built the other half later.
Okay.
So when we go through this arch over here, that half of the building is not historic.
Okay.
When I got this place, it was a motorcycle repair shop. So I had to do a lot of work to get this place turned into a distillery.
Yeah.
And we built out this area, and I wanted it to feel like a Pirates of the Caribbean kind of experience.
Yeah.
But more authentic, not just painted like wood, but actually use real stone.
Yeah, that's this real stone.
And this is all reclaimed barn wood.
Oh, nice.
Down from Tennessee and Kentucky, and they rip down old barns. So all this wood is real oak that was once out in a farm. We put all this up ourselves.
Nice.
All the decoration was done entirely ourselves.
This is very nice.
Well by me, man. So yeah.
Excellent.
You guys want to do a tour now?
Yeah, let's do a tour. To go see how this magic happens.
All right, come on through, guys. Excuse the mess. This is the production area. I'm bursting at the seams right now because we're collecting barrels and filling barrels, but this whole building's only 5,000 square feet.
Oh, this is.
And we have a huge production capacity because the still over here is is 1,000 gallon capacity still, so we can produce a lot. All right.
Wow. Yeah.
The process starts right here in these tanks. Okay. These are the fermentation tanks. We have 4 of them. So 4 tanks, and it takes 4 days to completely ferment the wash. Okay. So that means that if we run one of these each day we can do a distillation. So we can do 1 distillation a day.
Wow. Okay.
Based on this system. Now, if my sales when my sales increase, and we need to increase production, then what I'll have to do is buy 4 more tanks, because we can run 2 distillations a day if we run it at night as well. And then we could produce, let's see, we do about 100 proof gallons per distillation, 7 days a week, right? 700, 1,400 gallons.
Wow.
Now that would be proof gallons, so add 10%. So let's say 1,500 gallons at 80%.
Wow.
I'm sorry, 80 proof times 5, right? 5 bottles each gallon. So that's our potential production capacity here,
So you're ready to go once it starts rolling.
I know. At the beginning I was like, all right, Sam, endure the pain right now financially to get yourself a big enough system.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of distillers start so small that you can't earn enough profit based on the production you can make.
Right.
And then, and so you got to eventually buy a bigger system anyway. So I said, well, let me get a bigger system to start with.
Right.
And go from there. Now, that may not have been the wisest. I probably shouldn't have gone quite as big. But I'm there and we're getting it done.
Yeah, you go all in, and then you're a little bit more driven.
Exactly, very driven, yeah. And so right now, we start the fermentation process with the molasses that I go down to South Florida to pick up. I've got a tank out front that I haul down to South Florida.
Yep. which I got a damn ticket doing on Tuesday, because there's a stretch of it that's just a two-laner, and it's a 55-mile-an-hour nightmare, you know. And so I was like, well, whatever.
But anyway, so that molasses we throw in. The reason I get it myself, by the way, is because the freight, the cost of shipping 6 tons of molasses is incredible. It's like 3 times the cost of the molasses itself. So I figure, you know what? I'm gonna go down and get it myself. And I just haul it behind my truck. So you throw the molasses in here with the carbon filtered water. Remember, we don't want to use just unfiltered tap water from Tampa.
Not in Tampa.
Yeah, and then we throw the yeast in there. Okay. So the yeast is going to go through, and it's going to eat all the sugar that's in the wash, right? So the sugar in the molasses, that yeast eats that sugar, and as it eats the sugar, it's spitting out ethanol. So the byproduct of yeast eating sugar is the creation of ethanol, which is our alcohol, whether it's beer, wine, vodka, rum, anything. Ethanol is the stuff that gives us a nice little buzz, right? So after about 4 days, that yeast has eaten everything it's going to eat. It's done working, and now we've got a bunch of ethanol in here that we need to extract from the rest of everything else. So how we do it is using pump and hoses as we move it into the pot still here.
Okay.
And when we got it in here, we heat the wash up. So here's the concept of distillation. It's very simple. Ethanol boils at a lower temperature than water.
Right.
So we want to heat this wash up above the temperature that ethanol boils, but below the temperature that water boils. And that way, that ethanol turns to steam and gets forced out the top and into these pipes.
Right.
And that's how you extract the ethanol away from everything else. And that's a step that winemakers and brewers don't do. And that's how we have such a higher percentage of ethanol than a beer or a wine. Okay? So if you only have the kettle, you call it a still or a kettle. If you only have the kettle, then you can extract a lot of that ethanol. But unfortunately, it's tough to keep it at a temperature where a lot of water doesn't boil off as well, and other stuff comes along for the ride. So that's where these towers come into effect. Now these towers, we only use the middle one, the 10 plate. We can use 20 plates, or we can even do a 4 plate run. There's one more window than there are actual plates in there. That's why I say 4, even though there's 5 windows.
Okay.
We utilize the middle column. We just do a 10 plate. We utilize the 10 plates when we're producing the rum. And so what happens is that ethanol steam is coming off, but there's also steam of water and bits and pieces of molasses that are coming along for the ride. And so what we do is we force it up this column. And as it rises up the column, the closer to the top, that top part is called the deflegmator. The deflegmator, we have chilled water going through coils.
Okay.
So as that hot steam rises, it begins to cool. The closer it gets to the deflegmator, to the cooling coils.
Okay.
And so that water that's coming along with the ethanol in the form of steam begins to cool. So the water turns back to fluid. Yes, exactly. And will come back down the column, and there's a pump back there in which it gets pumped back into the still, while the ethanol, which remains a steam at a lower temperature, yes, exactly, continues on through.
Nice.
And so as we get through there, we've extracted more ethanol away from the other bits and pieces of everything. And so we can adjust this. Remember I said the barrel-aged stuff, we only distill it to 75% ethanol. The rum, 90%, the vodka, 95%. We can adjust these little guys right here, the valves, and actually increase or decrease the amount of water we allow through. And other, like I said, bits and pieces of the wash. So as it comes through here, now it gets to the condenser. And this just is a lot of cold water running through coils. So this takes that hot steam, turns it into a nice cool fluid, and then it comes through this pipe into spirit safe. There's nothing in there now, but you can smell that raw stuff that was in there.
That does smell good.
So in the distillation process, there's three main portions of the separation process at the end that that are important to discuss.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes through we call the heads. The heads are toxic. Okay,
Right.
methanol, acetone, a lot of nasty stuff.
Right.
Have you ever heard of the old moonshiners that would blind people or kill them?
Yeah. Oh,
They
yeah.
weren't separating the heads with their system. So they were feeding people methanol and acetone and stuff like that,
Yep.
along with the ethanol that's the good stuff. And so we like repeat customers. So we separate the heads and we don't feed you that stuff.
Right.
And then we dispose of it safely down the drain. We don't do
Yeah.
anything special with it. It's only about a 5-gallon bucket of heads. So the heads is your methanol and the toxic stuff. So that all does come through and we separate it out.
Oh.
We can separate it into this,
Okay. I get
but we actually just use a 5-gallon bucket and we open up this valve and have a bench sitting here and let it drop through there.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So the heads is the first thing. The next thing that comes through is the hearts.
Yeah.
Okay? The hearts is the ethanol. That's what we want to keep.
Okay.
So that's our rum. So we move this over here and we start collecting it in this half of the tank.
Okay.
So, a big question, how do you know when you go from the heads to the hearts? Right?
Right.
First of all, just from smelling it,
Oh, really?
heads just stink to high heaven. I mean, it doesn't have that nice rum or vodka or ethanol kind of smell. I mean, it stinks.
Okay.
And so you can also touch it to your tongue and taste it. So, and you can rub it on your fingers and see the kind of the texture or feel of it.
Okay.
And then we also use an instrument called a hydrometer that measures the density of the material that lets us know.
Okay.
Okay? So, but I mean, the smell alone, it's yeah,
Really?
that's easy. It's easy. I mean, stuff stinks. So the next thing that comes through is the heads. We collect that. Collect. And so that's our good stuff. That's what we're trying to keep. Now, towards the end of the process, you get the tails.
Okay.
The tails also stink, but they stink in a different way. Kind of an earthy smell,
Okay.
not like a deadly toxic smell like the heads.
Yeah.
It's more of a kind of an earthy, kind of dirty sweat sock smell.
All right.
And that's actually not toxic stuff, but it has a funk to it. And so we separate the tails out as well, because
Okay.
we don't want that flavor in our rum. But there's still good rum in the tails. So oftentimes we'll keep it, it's not a lot, and we'll dump it in the kettle along with the wash for the next distillation
Oh, okay.
and try and squeeze the rum out of it.
Right. Okay.
So, so that's kind of, I saw a documentary from I think it was a Scotch distiller. They were talking about a fish, you know. You don't want to eat the head, you don't want to eat the tails, you want to eat the middle
Middle,
part.
right,
And
yeah,
so,
makes sense.
depends on what culture you're in. Probably some
Hey,
people want
yeah, I've been
you know,
some places
fish head
where you're
stew
like,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So now you've got this. Now let's say it's our silver rum.
Yeah.
That's at 90%. That's 180 proof, right? We don't want to drink it at that.
Right.
So from there, we move it into one of these mixing tanks that
Okay.
we can push around.
Well, that's what you say, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we got mixing tanks everywhere. And that's when we add more purified water.
Okay.
So you end up with the rum here, but you add water to bring it to a drinkable level.
Okay.
And then we add our flavors and a little sugar for sweetness, depending on what we're making.
Yeah.
Or we're throwing it in barrels, right? So it just depends
Straight
on...
from there to the barrels.
Right. We don't put it in the barrels at the proof that comes off the
Right,
still.
right.
We actually add water to it before it goes into the barrel.
Mix that all up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how we do it. And we have a bottling line right here. We do all the
Yeah.
bottling.
All right.
And then I ran out of money before I could afford a labeler, so we hand label.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You know, it's all been a learning curve, but it's been fun. This project, I call it my Jurassic Park project. If this had been a Jurassic Park, there would be dinosaurs running all over Tampa eating people right now. That's how many things have gone wrong since I started this. So, you know, just having
no idea what to do. My buddy was hugely helpful in recommendations and stuff like that, but it was a big learning curve, and I messed up a lot. So, but now we're kind of dialed in, and we're making a good product.
This is very nice of you. Thank you, Sam. I had a blast. Thank you very much for letting us come in here and invade your space.
No, thanks for coming in.
I appreciate it. I will,
Cheers.
social distance high five here, and if you guys, like I said, if you guys want to come out here, Sam is doing tours. Give him a call, give his staff a call, and they'll set you up. Come out, have a good time. This was a blast. I appreciate it, Sam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.